This is AEG's 184mm sliding compound miter saw. Now, I mean, straight off the bat, I'm sliding this back and forth and it doesn't feel very smooth. So I did just pull the saw out of the box, and this is my first time looking at this miter saw. We'll go through, have a look at everything it can do, all of its features, and we'll have a talk about what's good and what's not good about this sliding compound saw. Actually, the first thing that's really stood out to me about the saw are these two handles on either side here. That's actually perfect to lift up and carry around. For your miter cuts, it looks like this can spin all the way around to 49 degrees. It does say in the tool specs that it can do 48 degrees either side. But if we have a look at the markings there, I can lock that in at 45 degrees. And then we got 46, 47, 48, 48 there. And it keeps going past about 49 degrees. It is quite smooth and easy to move around. I've definitely used other miter saws though that are smoother. To move it around, I'm just pushing down on this tab at the front here, and I'm holding that down to move it, and as soon as I let go of that, it's going to lock in at any of our main cuts. So as we can see there, that's 0 degrees, 15, 22.5, 31.6, and our 45s. If we do want to lock it down on any of these in-between angles, all we've got to do is push down the front here, and that's secured, that's locked in. And that's locked in really well. It looks like I can't knock that around. You don't want to be working, cutting stuff, slide a bit of material, and hit that hard and slightly change the degrees. We do have a handle at the back here for the bevels. And if we loosen this here, that's how we can access the bevels in the saw. With that all the way loose, we can go between 45 and 0 degrees, only going on the left side bevel. This is actually pretty cool. I've never seen anything like this before. So we've got this little dial here. It's got 48, 45, and that is 33.9 written on it. And what we can do is spin that around. So I'll spin it to 33.9. And now when I move the saw, you're going to see that stop hits at 33.9, and I can't get past that angle. Now if I twist that in the middle, that's got the 48 degrees, so I can go all the way down, and that's now giving us 48 degrees on the bevel. And I can push that the entire way, and that's 45 on that little dial now. That's locked in on 45, and now we can see our bevel stops perfectly on 45 degrees. That's pretty cool. We do have that on both sides, so we've got the same thing over here. And to make the saw bevel the other way, because right now it's stopping at 0 degrees, I'm pretty sure it's going to be this button here. Is that a button? Oh, it is. Oh, you pull it. It's not a button. You pull that out. So right now that's locking in at 0 degrees, and we can see this little rod here sticking out. What we want to do is slightly back that away the other way past 0 degrees. Then we can pull that out, and that releases the lock at 0 degrees, and we can go the other way now. And while that's pulled out, we've got complete range to change the bevel to either direction. And obviously we're just going to push the saw back to the left, push that rod back in, and that's going to lock us off at 0 degrees once again. We've got the dust collection bag. This is nothing fancy, but I really like the look of it. Actually, it's a little bit weird. I've never seen a dust collection bag like this before. If we just squeeze that together, it opens it up so we can obviously put it on the tool. Yeah, right, that's just something like that. It's quite fancy. That's definitely something I haven't seen before. I'm already a little bit worried that after using this a little bit, if you keep squeezing those pins together, it may eventually become a bit loose and you might have problems with that in the future. I can't comment on that yet though, that's just something I'm guessing about. I do like the colour of this bag though, I do like how it looks. Another thing we have is a carry handle, and I'm not sure exactly, oh yeah, that's exactly where it goes in, right at the top here. So it actually comes with an Allen key built into this handle, and we've got 2 Allen screws here, and I'm just going to take them off. We may as well put this on straight away, because with the handle at the top of the tool there, it's actually going to be perfect to carry around. And to lock it in place, it's almost like a button. I push the saw down, and we're just going to push that in, clicks into place, and it's locked into place. In terms of the rail though, to lock this in place, we can see we've got to manually screw it and make it nice and tight. I've never been a fan of this method of locking a rail in place, because I feel like there's been times where I've seen saws like this and that's become loose. People have gone and tried to push the saw open. Right now obviously it's locked in really tight, that's not moving. But I've seen over times people even just slightly untwist it, and people start using the saw and they start dragging it. I'm not sure exactly how it works in there. I'm guessing it's almost like a little brake pad or something that's pushed up against the rail so it can't move. But I've never been a fan of this screw-on method. Anyway, let's get this handle on. Alright, so the handle's on. It's actually really easy to carry with one hand. There's not much weight on it at all. One thing I was worried about with the handle is if it might just be a bit bulky and hit your body carrying it. And that's definitely easy enough to carry with one hand, which is definitely a huge tick in my books. With the saw, we've also got a clamp, and this works on either side. There's a little slot for that to slide into, and then obviously you can just clamp down your material to make sure it doesn't move once you've cut it. And we've also got a sliding fence which we can slide through on this side here. I do think it's a pretty cool looking saw, but I do have a battery, so let's chuck it in and have a look at the saw when it's on. So first things, we do have a light button at the top of the saw here, and it actually gives us a shadow line. The light displays a shadow on the piece that we're going to cut of where the blade's going to cut it. This is perfect to line up any marks you got on your timber with where the blade is using that shadow line. Now I'm actually not too sure if this is an intended feature, having the shadow line. I haven't seen that written down anywhere, but it looks like we do have it and it does work. If anything, the shadow we do have, it just looks like it's a bit skinnier than what the blade is, so it may not be perfectly accurate. Now for a battery tool, that does speed up pretty quickly. And that's got a really good break to it as well. I think it's taken about half a second for the blade to come to a stop after I release my finger off the trigger. Now the sound and feel isn't always a lot to go off when you're looking at saws, but this does sound and feel quite powerful. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is putting this Mitre saw in my car, and over the next few weeks, depending if I'm doing fixes or pre-cuts for frames, I want to get a lot of use out of this, and then using it on site over a few weeks will give me a really good feel on how powerful it is, how long the batteries last, and sometimes using it on site will highlight a few different features.